in my first Zen Buddhism or whatever session, the woman talked constantly, as usual, contradictions. The group was silent. Women were sitting there. Their personalities left a lot to be desired. And I shared something very personal. They didn't react. One complained about the air conditioning. And it made me aware that my emotions are really out there. Like, I don't know if it's like a cultural differences because I was like influenced by American culture, but I really kind of express my emotions much more. I feel now that Israelis are a little bit more, they don't really say intimate things. They're really afraid. They're really afraid to share, where Americans are always out there. They always say like, this and this and this happened to me. It's a sort of, on the one hand, could be impulsive, or you could see it as sort of like courage or willing to be out there. And they're like thinking, or maybe they just don't have a personality. I don't know. Just sitting in a group of women that nobody shared anything. One woman said something. She was extremely unpleasant. The teacher was like talking, Buddha said this and Buddha said that. And I'm not very grateful, that's true. Because she was like, we have to be in the moment. We have to see the situation. It helped me because the stress, she said, the teacher was, who is a psychologist, is to live the moment and not to think too much, not to go too much. But like when I sit with a group of people, I like to have like an emotional connection with them. And I felt like this coldness. It was like sitting with reptiles. And I think that's what always I felt with groups of Buddhists. They're very, very like the detachment thing. They're so detached that at one point they just don't have an ability to attach, which is, for me, it's not a good quality actually. I like attachment. I like my dog. I like being attached to whoever is good to me. So this Buddhist circle, I'm not sure about. Don't know what to say. It was for free. I'm supposed to give a donation, but I don't know. I mean, I came there and the woman wouldn't shut up. Buddha said this, Buddha said this. Buddha was born and Buddha came out of the castle and Buddha did this and Buddha did that. And 3 things you have to say. 3 things. Whether it's a good deed, it's going to benefit someone, whether it's the truth, and whether it's pleasant. Now, all these are philosophical questions. And when I said something, she said, no, we're not talking philosophy. We're talking concrete examples. And I'm like, shit, I'm not like a concrete person. I live in a higher sphere, sorry. I mean, all my life I've been taught not to go to the concrete, but to go to the general. And like people try to live in like ideas, the world of ideas. We don't live in like from moment to moment. I mean, I'm not like a fly. I don't live with moments. It's a different way of looking at life, that's for sure. But I'm not sure I like her interpretation. Plus, she doesn't smile. And the other thing is, like, she looked at my bottle of Coca-Cola and she said, Buddha was against mood-changing substances. And I'm like, shit, like air conditioning is also mood changing because it changes the air quality. And the fact that your person doesn't smile is also mood changing for me. And the fact that people just don't share anything, are sitting silent, I don't know. There was a lack of joy. And I think there are different Buddhists, but I need somebody to smile, like the Dalai Lama is smiling a lot. And I don't know, it just seems to me this gray-haired woman sitting there, and I don't know, it was just too much for me. I don't know where I am right now. As usual, I'm not in the right bus station. It happened to me a lot. So, I don't want to complain, but I don't think I'm a Buddhist by birth. I think I'm not a neutral person. I'm definitely not living with Buddha said this, Buddha said that. I'm not Indian. I like having emotions. I like being creative. And I think this Buddhism, it castrates emotions sometimes. depends on how you do it. You need to know what you're doing. So this Israeli woman, she's like, oh, I'm going to take this and no, I'm going to cut you right there. Don't talk about this. So what it helped is giving me limits. I definitely need limits because sometimes I go overboard. But when you do it without compassion, when you don't say, I'm very sorry to hear your story, like I'm sharing something traumatic, and she's like not reacting, anything goes, I just feel like I don't want to live in a world where anything goes. And this I've heard is the criticism of many Christians and Jewish people about Buddhism, that it's very like anything, like it's okay. Everything is like accepted and you're just like not really, there's no judging whatever force, and there's these rules, but there's not much, like there's so much to be said about morality and rules and how to live. And when you make a decision about how to act, there's just so much to be said about how do I make a decision? What is the right thing to do? So if you look in Buddhism, what she said is like, you have to think, is it beneficial? Is it the truth? And is it pleasant? So it seems very simplified, and I'm sure life is much more complicated. And while I did try to read Buddhist philosophy books, I found that, I don't know, just somehow, maybe it's because I didn't feel so much at home. Maybe it's because, to be honest, I think if I was to be in a room full of people who were like Zen Buddhists, I'd like scream my head off and go mad, because I need reactions, I need emotions. And also I need like better guides to life than, let's just live the moment. Let's just think if it's pleasant, if it's the truth. How do you know what the truth is? How do you know anything? I mean, these are questions, and she didn't have answers. She just wanted me to shut up so she could talk the whole time. And that's not my kind of teacher. I like teachers who know how to listen. I've been told that my problem in teaching is that I talk a lot, but I'm aware of it. I know I talk a lot, and I try to give pupils time also, but I'm also teaching them a certain subject, and I'm like, when you teach English, you have a lesson plan and you need to get this and this done. But I just felt like my pupils, I do think this time at least, I've got like a ping pong, and this woman who was